Hi there, and welcome back to All About Employment by DC Recruiting. You are listening to Season 2, Episode 6, and I am your host, Dave Crecchiola. Nice of you to be with me today. Today I want to talk about another common interview question, and that is, what are your greatest strengths? And with all interview questions, there of course is more than one way to ask this. You can be asked, what would your supervisor say was your greatest strength? What would your coworker say is your greatest strength? It can be worded lots of different ways. How do you prepare for that? I'd like to start with a few opening points. Number one is to realize that this is a canned answer. You have to have something prepared. There's no excuse for not being ready to answer what are your greatest strengths. You are going to be asked this 100% in any interview in any of those ways that I sort of showed earlier. You must be prepared. Point number two, as much as I'm saying be prepared, don't over-rehearse. This goes with a lot of things when it comes to job interviews, but don't over-rehearse. Make sure that you're prepared, but don't memorize things. And the reason why is point number three. Point number three on my list to remember is you always need to be prepared for follow-up questions. You can prepare a great answer and memorize it to death and have your delivery down, but then get nervous or shaken a bit if you get a follow-up question. So make sure that you know what you're going to say, but still remember to keep in mind you could get follow-up questions. Now this question, like I said, it's a canned answer, not a time to shine question. And in other episodes, I've gone through what a time to shine question is. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But when you're answering what your greatest strengths are, you need to be cognizant of the fact that it's supposed to be a more concise answer. So leave some of your best things for when you get asked a time to shine question. For example, why should we hire you? Right? You need to have some ammo left over to answer that question. So point number 5 is to, with the other point in mind about it not being a time to shine question, try to limit your strengths to around 3 to 5. That'll give you the opportunity to give a short, concise, confident answer, which is a great segue to number 6, is that your answer should be concise. And why do you want to do that? Well, it just shows that you're prepared. It shows that you've prepared 3 things and you were able to deliver them with some confidence. So with those points in mind, let's move forward and talk a little bit about different styles of skills that you can use. I have 3 that I would like to talk about. The first one is a skill-based strength. Now, how do you pick something? Well, I always focus on job ads. Go back and reference the job ad, and you would have done that anyway, probably, to prepare to apply for the job, but use the job ad and focus on a set of qualifications from it. I'll give an example in a second. So once you've picked which skill set or one skill or group of skills from the job ad, once you've picked that, you need to tell a story. So you need to get a story prepared. So as an example of a skill-based strength, let's say the job ad said that you have to know how to use Excel. So you can say in your interview, I am great with Excel. I've learned how to use specific things that a lot of people don't know how to do with Excel. For example, I'm great at pivot tables. I was able to be the go-to person at my old job. I kept a lot of data up to date. Using these tables, I was the expert. I even was able to show other people how to use it properly. And I was very confident in that skill, and I really feel like it sets me apart, and I can bring that skill set, which you mentioned as a core thing for this job, I can bring that forward to your organization. So something like that. It's showing that, okay, I have this skill, I've used it, I was an expert at it, and I'm going to bring those skills from my other job or other, from my education or whatever your scenario may be, and I'm going to knock it out of the park at your organization. The second style of strength that you can use is a character-based strength or a soft skill. It's a personality trait or, character trait that you bring in and will be a benefit to the company. So you would use the same approach with these as you do with the hard skills. You want to identify something from the job ad, a lot of job ads will mention being able to work under pressure, or they might say you have to have great customer service skills, just as a couple of examples. So key on something like that, and then do the same thing. Look back at your work history and come up with an example, a story you can tell about how that is a strength and how it's going to benefit the new organization. So an example of this would be to say, to tell a story about customer service. You can say, if the job ad has that you have to be a good problem solver, if that's what you've keyed on, you can now say, well, I am a great problem solver. This is a trait that you want to have for the person that's going to get this job. And in my old job, there was a major problem. There was a policy change at the store I worked at. All the customers were very frustrated, and management was also frustrated because they didn't understand why customers would be upset. They tried to make this change, and it was trying to benefit everybody, but everybody ended up getting upset. And I had to step in over the course of a couple of weeks, and I had to be a liaison between management and some very upset customers, and I was able to diffuse the situation effectively, and I was able to really facilitate a compromise. And both parties were very happy with that, and I received many compliments from both sides. It just shows how I do have those skills, and I just think that if that's something you're looking for this job, it's something that I'd excel at, and I'll bring all of that with me into your place of business. It's a good way to show how that soft skill, you've used it before, and you got great results, and you're gonna bring that skill set. You're gonna bring those positive things to the new organization. The third style of strength that I'd like to talk about are transferable skills. Now, these, of course, are skills that you can take from one industry and move into the other industry that you're wanting to move into. Transferable skills can also be referred to as portable skills. You may see that kind of language too. Normally, a transferable skill is a soft skill, usually. And what you would do is, let's say it's something like communication. You would identify that in the new job ad, and you would tell a story about how you used effective communication in your old job, and how that skill, even though it was in a different industry, transfers into the new one. So it's transferable skills can be used as a strength and should be used in a strength in interviews. Don't shy away from referring to things in another industry if one of the number one or number two things in a new job is a skill that you can bring with you from another industry. Don't hesitate, use it, tell a great story about it, and it'll help set you apart. I'd like to leave you today with a few reminders. Make sure that you practice what you want to say. The reason you want to do that is you can be concise and you'll avoid rambling, which has been a problem of mine that I had to overcome. I do like to talk, and practice will keep you focused. Remember that you can bring notes with you to an interview. If you are very nervous, if nerves are a constant issue, if you get really anxious in interviews, you want to give the best answer you can. So if you need to, bring your notes in. The interviewers, I've said this before, the interviewers write down the questions they're going to ask you. So you can do the same. You can bring in the core things that you want to say so you can so you can keep your nerves in check. And remember, finally, that a well-polished answer delivered with confidence will show that you're prepared for the interview, and it will impress the interviewer. They're going to be listening to what you say, of course. You have to tell good stories and be convincing. But if you are able to quickly and confidently deliver an answer to what are your greatest strengths, it's really going to set you apart. Because if you haven't prepared, it'll obviously do the opposite. So make sure that you're prepared and impress that interviewer and get the job. If you have any further questions, or you have any stories you'd like to tell me about a time that you had answered this question and thought you did really well, then you can email me through my website, www.dc-recruiting.com. You can leave me a message there. And I hope everyone has a great day. I hope your job search is going well. And until next time.